Hallelujah. It's always great when technology works. Great, great, great. And this is definitely his niche and his perception. So I always like to be able to connect with somebody that knows way more than I do. Welcome aboard.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. We are having some people come on, and so that's great. But you know what? I think there are so many people that don't truly understand how the different medias work. And that's why I wanted you to come on. So for everybody who is joining, whether you're live or on the replay, this is my friend Ben Emerson. He is coming in from Connecticut, correct?
That's right, Wilton, Connecticut, out here in the woods.
Well, we had a tornado come through about 2 hours away, and it kind of destroyed the town where our capital is in. It's extremely low service in this area for whatever reason, and extremely humid, and it feels like a storm's going to blow through any time. So connection, sometimes it just happens. So I wanted to bring Ben on because, one, we had a great conversation when we first met through LinkedIn, and that is a business platform that so many people don't utilize, but they also don't know the difference between the different social medias and how those work and what makes them different. And for those who are doing their own business, someone else's business, and social media, I think it adds a lot of value to be able to understand the difference, who owns who and how those work together, and how to do social and business different through media.
Yeah, well, I think there's a great opportunity right now for people to take advantage of LinkedIn. I say that because if you walk around a room at, let's say, a cocktail party and ask, who's on LinkedIn? You'll probably get a number of hands. You'll probably get the majority of the room. However, most people are not going to say that they go on it frequently. Sure, right. I go on profile. I don't go on very often. Well, number one, that's great. That means you're probably not a job seeker. Right. Hooray for you. That's much like the room full of parents where one parent chimes in and says, hey, I have a kid who just sleeps through the night. We go to bed at 10, wake up at 6, and it's like an absolute dream sleep. You don't want to talk to that person anymore necessarily. All of a sudden, they're not the enemy, but you certainly can't relate to them.
Right.
Similarly, the folks who are not using LinkedIn typically are folks who are comfortable in their position.
Sure.
And I would say LinkedIn is quickly becoming a place where people are going for content more and more. They're going because they can't find the content somewhere else, because they are also interested in learning something that perhaps they can't get through their company websites. A lot of companies, of course, will have firewalls set up and specific information that can't go through. But LinkedIn is really a platform for publishing content more and more. And it's also a very secure environment. Facebook, bless its heart, is certainly not it's not impervious to glitches, break-ins, and thefts. So I find that LinkedIn is a heck of a lot more secure, and you know to whom you're talking. You know that your information is generally going to be contained within the LinkedIn structure. And I find there are a lot of people contributing. This video will be on LinkedIn, so hello, LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Well, and you and I have no rhyme or reason to connect in the typical world. But through LinkedIn, and I'm so grateful for my friend Scott Aaron. I have to give him a shout out because I've had a LinkedIn profile for years. When it first came out, you got that typical invite email, and I didn't know what to do with it. But now having my own personal business, you start thinking differently. And you start thinking in the grand scheme of things, especially if you have a global business and it's not just, you're not just a storefront. You do think differently. And when I reached out to him, he was like, you need to learn LinkedIn. And that was a year ago. A year ago this weekend. So happy anniversary to me for being on LinkedIn, because I think, one, it's going to be a great year for LinkedIn, but I also think in the business realm of things, it kind of is the best kept secret, especially if you're growing and can do multiple things. But I also feel like there are so many people that don't understand the difference. And so I wanted you to share some insight on what you think are really key when people are connecting socially, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but then if they're doing business, LinkedIn, Twitter, because my LinkedIn is connected to my Twitter, but I'll be very, very honest. I'm not a bird. I don't tweet very well. So I don't kind of understand the algorithm of that. But my content through LinkedIn does stay on Twitter or go to Twitter, but it's a different type of connecting than Instagram and Facebook.
Yes, it absolutely is. LinkedIn, I think, is really where you want to keep your hub. Twitter's a spoke, and I think most people are successful on there in the
Right.
entertainment. They are either high-profile figures, or they are just folks who tweet a lot, and they have followers based on the fact that they tweet a lot.
Sure.
But unfortunately, there's also a lot of robots, and as we have seen in the past two elections, you just don't know to whom you're speaking. Again, with LinkedIn, you're vetted. I sound like a LinkedIn evangelist here, but it's true. I am. Had a lot of success in the last 14 months or so. I've built I'll just say, a massive following, and had great engagement. Not only that, I met Michelle,
Yeah.
and I guess that's the part that I would say is much different. Twitter, again, you're of course limited to a certain length of message,
Sure.
although now are beginning to use the threads where it's you'll put a 1/6 for a thread of 6 things strung together. You have to click on this and then click on the next, and but it's just not as fluid. It's not as engaging if to create content. So I would say with the LinkedIn platform, you are more likely to get a human on the end of the line,
Right.
and when you're posting Twitter from LinkedIn, the person has to go back to LinkedIn anyhow, because that's just a link to that platform.
Right.
How do you use LinkedIn for networking? How do you use Twitter for networking? I honestly don't know how you would use Twitter for any substantive type of business arrangement, but I would say stay on LinkedIn, push it to the limit. If you're contributing, if you're posting, even if you're just liking and commenting and sharing, you become visible. You become your own brand essentially, and that's important for people to see that you're a contributor and that you're engaging. With regard to Michelle and I, it was a matter of, and this is common. I've had about, say, a dozen folks where I've actually gone what we call linked out. You're offline, you're meeting the person, you're speaking to them on the phone, and that is really the bridge that you want to cross. I wouldn't say as soon as possible, but I would say you're probably most comfortable crossing that bridge on LinkedIn of the 4 platforms, the four real platforms that are making their way through the years are, of course, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, to some degree, Pinterest and YouTube, and then LinkedIn. LinkedIn is, of course, a social media platform.
Right.
And as such, it's probably the place that I would feel most comfortable getting someone's phone number and actually calling it.
Sure. And I agree. And people tend to be more business driven and more likely to, it's not just about growing a number of friends or a number of followers. It's really about being able to connect with people that are like minded. You're working for a company your company profile or your, you know, whatever niche it is, the LinkedIn side of things drastically change that networking to grow a company's presence wherever they are, and being able to be very specific on LinkedIn of who you're trying to connect with. It's very different.
Like to do this every day, but you know, chances are it's not going to happen. Or sign up for my blog, you're going to get a post, but again, chances are the month of January you're not going to get a post. And so on Instagram, I actually met my goal. It was great fun, and along the way, I began expanding from photos, still photos, to video edits, and folks seem to enjoy it, and they understand that is quite different from my LinkedIn persona.
Mm-hmm.
And then Facebook, here we are on Facebook. No comment. I guess I would say it's a great platform for sure in terms of reach. There are just as many issues as with Twitter.
Yeah, and I want to kind of go forward in what you said, because one, content is super important, and content that you're using on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, is generally different than the content you're using on a business platform. But you were talking about still shots, videos, those types of things, and that is one thing that kind of sparked this live, is because of course you're all about the mugshot, and you've been after me to change mine on LinkedIn and A, B, and C. And I think, one, there are a lot of people that they're not comfortable doing lives or Zoom calls or those types of things. And the other is understanding what's good for your mugshot, so to speak, on a social media, to a what's good for LinkedIn on the business side of things, and why or what they should be doing differently. Because if they're promoting their own brand, it's going to be a little bit different than if they're promoting a company's brand and what they do on because my profile picture is different on social media than it is on LinkedIn. Touch on the difference and the importance of their mugshot, their videos, that type of thing that is on a social media versus a business platform. What's going to be different from Facebook and Instagram than on LinkedIn? Because I find that our lives, our videos, you know, just the videos I've done on LinkedIn are not on my Facebook, most generally.
I got it. Yeah, absolutely. And so while you were talking, I scrolled down and found Michelle Smith, founder of Amped Life, on here. That is your business, again, that's your business hub.
Right.
Absolutely to be expected that those four different, what I call the legs of a digital media stool, with some degree of word stool, they're your four legs: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And as such, the persona should be different. With so many people who are also doing the same thing as you are, well, in your case, Michelle, but not as well, of course, you're going to have every little detail count. And one of those most important details is simply that thumbnail. That thumbnail is, well, it's the size of a pin on some posts. If you like something, it's the size of a postage stamp on others. So make sure it's something that's crisp and clean. It's a different story. Why not have some fun on Facebook? Chances, or on Instagram, or on Twitter. Chances are you're going to have a different audience on each of those places. So why not have show them a different side of you?
Absolutely.
Well, in your case, Michelle, you have a great film presence here, and as such, probably the easiest way to get a good photo is to take a video that you've done and just scroll through the frames, and then take a screenshot of that.
Okay.
In most uses of that thumbnail, you won't necessarily need the highest resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So it should suffice. And I tested this theory the other day, went through one of your videos and found some great shots. So again, it's my perception, but I would say there is a side to everyone that they're probably not aware of.
Right.
The most important thing is just extending the feedback and getting a large group of people.
And I think some people are not a fan of taking pictures of themselves, and even though we live in the world of selfies, a true selfie, a true picture of yourself is truly you. It's not airbrushed. It's not with the Snapchat filter, because in reality, people want to know the real you. They want to know who they're talking to. They want to know who they're doing business with, who they're following, that type of thing. But I'll be honest, until you said that, taking a still shot from one of the videos that I've done never crossed my mind. Never even gave it a thought, because you just, unless you've been doing that like you do, you don't think about it. So I think that's great tidbit of information for people, especially when I'm doing some videos, doing lives like these, you enjoy them, your personality comes, and you do get a much better quality view of the person, and their personality kind of comes out. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would say one thing you see a lot of is the mugshot with some stray arm around the person, your hand on their left shoulder.
Yeah.
And what's that all about? What that's all about is that person was probably having a great time. They're probably with their significant other, someone they at a party. And the person who has that mystery hand is probably doing that for two reasons. One, they're very comfortable in that situation.
Right.
And two, it could even discourage people from saying, "Oh, there's a single person using this as a dating site."
Absolutely. So I do need to go, and I need to wrap this up, and I want to make sure that it's in a good time frame so that it comes through well on LinkedIn as well. Is there anything particular that you would like to add that is valuable to someone who may or may not understand how Facebook and Instagram differs from LinkedIn, especially if they're trying to understand how to have a business presence, because we were all newbies at one time. But if they're trying to grow their own brand on LinkedIn, is there anything specific to help them get started that you, especially that presence, that you would recommend?
Yeah, I would say just completely reconfigure your strategy. I see a lot of people spending a lot of time on Facebook. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, and here they are hosting our chat. But I'd say the LinkedIn is the more secure platform for your brand, for your image, for your message. And if you can build your brand there, just remember everyone's a customer. Even if it's a business to business or business to client, B2B is fine, is great on LinkedIn. Every one of those B2B people are also potential wellness coach customers. Absolutely. So go get them there. Yeah. You're going to have a lot more attention and focus than you would someone scrolling through their Facebook feed.
Absolutely. And I think when you provide good content, it draws people in as well. There are people that are scrollers, but there are people that they're following certain people, as you and I do, because they're encouraging, they're uplifting, they're teaching us something, and they're in that wheelhouse of things that we want to know about. And that's why we connect with intentionality. So keeping your connections connected, for lack of better words, does come from the visual aspect and knowing what you're doing, but also that content and truly bringing value.
That's right. And feed is a bi-directional thing. I just thought of this. Feed can go both ways. You're feeding yourself, and you're also feeding your audience. So
perfect. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Ben, I have so enjoyed this. I think we need to do it again. And most definitely, if you're not connected with Ben Emerson and want to know more about the 4Media platforms and being able to work well together, connect with him, whether it's on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. And I can't wait to do it again, Ben. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michelle. Have a great day.